Hi everyone. So I'm Girish, CEO and founder of Maxtron, here to bring some amazing insight and speakers in front of you with this new initiative of AI-driven webinars, and we are coming up with cohort. So yeah, so we have Ashish Dogra, who is also my senior from IIT Roorkee, and I know him from a very long time. He has been working on some amazing AI agents, customer support, AI calling, and has been part of multiple amazing companies in past who have been raising millions of dollars right now. And he has been recently in Silicon Valley, and he had a great time there. Was there for months and came back, and he's working on his amazing project called Boring Workflows, where he's trying to build amazing agents talking to each other, removing the boring workflows in different companies for different founders. So thank you, Ashish, for your time and being here. We are really happy. We welcome you with our whole heart, and I think our audience would be great, and our audience would be amazing to have all your insight which you are gonna share us today. So thank you, Ashish. Thank you for coming. We are very grateful
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you for inviting Girish. Lovely to be here. Um, and just a form of introduction, if I may. Um, like Girish said, I'm a senior from IIT Roorkee, about 2 3 years senior. But in terms of GTM and working on multiple things, Girish is my senior. To be honest. Um, yeah, so recently been building startups around AI. By the way, who isn't building around AI? But I started before AI was cool, and learned a lot in the process. Uh, mostly my work has been around building infrastructure around AI and thinking on how it can be implemented into the application layer. My first company was around an HR tool. It was basically an asynchronous mass interviewer project. The company was called Fast HR. The idea was to um, solve the level one recruitment problem where you just ask few basic questions and filter out the candidate. So we did that. Then the second was for communication stack in real estate. So it was basically a customer support and customer concierge service, but again, combining a lot of modalities together and making it, a combined shared context, kind of building a Twilio 2.0. And in the current avatar, I'm building boring workflows. It's more deeper into the infrastructure. It's basically for large enterprise companies, specifically telcos. So telecom companies have a lot of messy IT systems. So what we do is we go into them and we build workflows for them, and workflows which are powered by AI, of course, but going into the nitty-gritties of multi cross domain systems where your typical SaaS software does not, work properly. So it's a massive problem. I think uh, I'm trying to solve that. So maybe I can share some of the ideas with you, what I'm learning as I'm working on it. Yeah, over to you,
Wonderful,
Girish.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashish. That's great. And I think our audience comes from like all the background and all the different region from US, Dubai, India, and from a student to a hedge fund owner, a CEO. So like we would love to share your insight and tell the world like how this the world is going to evolve, because the way we used to work, there has been a different eras coming into the world, like the machine, and when software comes in, now AI is going to run and think for us, and how our career, how our work, how our business, how our funds are going to be saved. So
Uh,
that's all everyone is thinking right now. Like I was reading one day, and that US Pentagon took decision with AI, and they are trying to hit Iran or different places
yeah,
where it
yeah,
affects the most. So they are already replaced people and the intelligence.
yeah,
So that's that's already happening. We are living in that era.
Yeah.
And how we need to evolve, like someone was telling me that the tsunami is coming, we can see the horizon of it, and once it will
Mhm.
hit hard, we will not be able to, like save ourselves, we'll be just washed off. So,
Yeah.
so all these things are happening. So how can we make our life jacket, lifeboat, or a bunker, and learn what we want to for our business, for our career, to save our funds, our runway. So what exactly is happening? Like, you were in Valley recently, I've been there, and but you were like months back, you were there for going up with your AI agents, workflows, and talking. And you told me that you should be beware of the school and college students. They are building some amazing, massive, lethal agents which can make a
Yeah.
unicorn, or it can break or make, or any companies in the world. So yeah,
Yeah.
would love to have your insights on the same. And
Mm.
yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I think interesting. So again, uh, uh, great that you mentioned Palantir and how the defense system are being built on top of Palantir. So interestingly enough, when we also talk to our customers, we give that example to them in boring workflows. We tell them like how Palantir has built this central infrastructure called Foundry. So Foundry is basically uh, an infra which sits on top of any big enterprise data systems, and it's a two-way stream, right? It can also write data, it can also read data, but in a very different manner. So you have to have a different framework of thinking for it, right? So what it does is basically creates entities out of enterprises. So what happens is, for example, you're a bank, a customer in a bank, in a database is basically a small row, right, with an account number and a name and serial number and some other things. And similarly, the bill is something else in a different database in a bank, right? So these two things do not generally talk to each other. So Palantir comes in and they say, okay, the tech should work exactly like the process of the business is. So what they did was they modeled all the things that were happening in the database level and surfaced them into the object level, and they created this customer object. So this customer object has a relationship graph with an account, has a relationship graph with a bill, with an invoice, with multiple passbooks, and all those things, so that any action that can happen on a customer, automatically that action can be related to many other entities in parallel, right? So that is surprisingly how AI also is working in the enterprise as well. We are also working in similar fashion, where we model the objects together and cobble them together, and then build agents on top of it. Again, that is enterprise thing, and then it's generally boring, right? So that's hence the name boring workflows. Coming back to my experience in SF, yes. So the fundamental problem is that all the so this is what I call a subjectivity nuclear bomb, right? So this is so with all the intelligence that has come in, next token prediction. So the next token prediction used to be in 2017. It used to be very, very dumb, right? If you will write A, it will write a horse, right? You will it will write a horse. It will say a horse is. So the predictability was very bad, very shitty, right? But now the next token, the semantic jump among two tokens is so massive that it can do prediction for millions and millions of tokens. The AI can do predictions. So now anything, any thought that you can any thought that you can hold right now that this can happen, the opposite can also happen in parallel. For example, I can claim here in this forum that agents won't be able to do, let's say, online gaming, and you will find an example on the night on Twitter, somebody actually doing exactly that, right? because because now the prediction markets and all the people who are trying to figure out what is the next step, all of them are literally failing and not able to predict what's happening. That's why the student community and the people who are literally at the nascent age, who are right now, just who are expert at dabbling, right? Those people are basically doing the best because they're not constrained by the general factors of what works, what doesn't work. So we all of us, we have lived about 10 to 15 years in the pre-AI world, and we have those notions in our minds, which says, these are the things you should be very, aware about. These things don't work, and the upcoming student community is not aware of that. They come with the AI preloaded, and they just simply attack the problem heads on. So that's why we should be looking out for them. And my experience has been that a lot of AI companies are being built in silos, in different compositions. People are jumping out of big companies like Google, Meta, and trying to build really cool stuff, like ambitious stuff, I would say. Like so ambitious as to even solve relationships, so ambitious to solve long-term problems like diseases and all those things. Like anything you name, and they're solving it with AI now.
Yeah, totally, totally. You can't even imagine. I read about Myrofish. Like, it's a whole society of agents
Yeah,
where you put a policy or a rule, and they literally act like real citizens and tell
yeah.
you how the outcome would be. So totally
Hmm.
is imaginable. And so, Ashish sir, tell me, like, what exactly is boring workflows, and what are you trying to solve, and what you're building, and why?
I'll take an example for that. Boring workflows, right now solving specifically for telcos. I'll take an example. So whenever a company has, let's take an example of a startup, let's say, right? A startup generally use a Google Workspace, a Google Sheet, a Notion, calendar, right? All these tools, right? Imagine you have 10 employees, and as a founder or as an employee, all of you have to work around and hop into these tools every now and then, right? So what happens is, whenever you do a task, whenever you have to jump from one tool to another, you have to carry that load in your mind, right? And capturing it, carrying it in mind, and then putting it into the next tool that you. So the load of the work, the semantic and the capturing work has been done by our mind right now. Imagine those things happening by the AI agent, right? So similarly, the enterprises have pretty complicated system, obviously, because they're legacy. They have millions and millions of users, generally consumer services companies like telecom companies, right? They have millions of users. They don't have capacity to lose out any of their customer. They have seven sigma commitments. They have to be 99.99999% available to their customers. So all those constraints make sure that they always do human patchwork. So whenever they have a broken system, what they do is they hire people to unbreak the system. So they hire people to keep that load in their minds. So we are entering and figuring out those hotspots or those crevices where these people are trying to load themselves and trying and obviously becoming a bottleneck for the company itself, and we are unlocking that. That's primarily boring workflows. Anything which is not interesting, anything which is a human does not want to do is doing it. We are catering to that.
Amazing. Totally amazing. So what are your roadmaps? Like, how have you planned to capture this territory within the AI agent space with other companies, businesses, and things happening?
um right now we are obviously working on a very specific vertical like telecom I mentioned. The idea is to dominate that market first, then move to the adjacent markets where the regulated environment is high, the data sources are at least there. For example, um, you can see financial companies, right? Finance companies, they have highly regulated markets, right? They all their data have to be kept there, right? Similarly, telco also have similar things. But oil and gas, you won't have that much data. Again, multiple other enterprises, other verticals, which is not connected to the data, right? Because most of their core work does not happen on technology. It's physical. For example, real estate, and 1% of real estate is logged into technology. 99% is logged into the value of the real estate itself, right? So we will target most likely the companies or the enterprise verticals where majority of the work in principle in future should be totally autonomous, right? So why a telco even has anyone working for them, right? Why isn't it on AWS? Let's ask that question. If the network is set up, hardware is set up, everything is set up, why are we having the systems where we have to pull in a million employees just to maintain a service? That's a very
Yeah,
long term thing. If you think long term, that's the way we are thinking about it.
totally. Absolutely. So, so I think telecom is one, real estate is second, and what are the other industry which you are identifying in the near future, which you which might not be existing till now?
I think so. So the topic. So we are thinking about, if we're thinking about virtual employees, I think a lot many industries. So why I'm working for boring industry is because I know that there is a demand there. Because a lot of people, a lot of masses are working on predictable things, like they look at LinkedIn and they start connecting their granola with Notion, right? They start connecting their calendar with their email, right? Those kind of tasks are, obviously it's every indie dev is currently doing that only, right? So it's a red ocean. So we wanted to go somewhere where there is some moat to be hold on to, right? So and obviously there is a possibility to do GTM, proper service as well at some point. um, the other part is, how do I think about long term AI workers, right?
Hmm.
That is the main topic that we wanted to connect for. So I think I think a lot of, like the question I framed here was that the telecom companies, why isn't any telecom company entirely working on top of AWS, right? So if there is a company, let's say in future, in 2050, which is working entirely on AWS, like
Yeah.
what are the functions it will be doing? Obviously it will support tickets, it will answer calls, obviously it will do a lot of those things which you find human centric right now, right? So all those works have to be done by entities which will be spiritually human like, but will be kind of AI workers. We see some indications of that. We've seen a lot of success in terms of chatbots right now. Obviously, chatbots started from 2023 and became really amazing in 2025 and 2024. So right now we've seen a lot of success on that. But I think long context reasoning and long context thinking is been evolving so much so that it is possible to have retained context as an employee for an agent. So an agent can actually have a memory, which can have a memory for an enterprise. For example, let's take AT&T, right? AT&T is in US telecom company. So let's say a virtual employee for AT&T sitting there, that AT&T employee can literally have its own life trajectory. That I started as an intern. Okay, now I'm a system site engineer, right? I will be solving some tickets. I might go on a vacation for a week or something like that, right? So literally there will be a story arc and a memory system uh, which will be working on top of it, right? So yeah, I think we see the direction it's going in that way, and sooner or later we'll find a lot of humans controlling AI employees. So we will basically have all of our the hierarchy will change a lot. So the hierarchy that currently sounds like a company, employee, which are all humans. Now that there'll be company, employee, all are humans, but beneath the humans, all will be AI employees. So the humans will be given a task only to quality control AI workers, only to do system mappings. Okay, is everything all right? Is there any issue with the service? If yes, then sort it out. If no, then let it be.
So
So
do you, yeah, so do you think like a new, like one of my friend from UAE, she suggested me that, there would be a position, chief agent officer. Do you think like
mm,
this is the evolving position which is coming up into the enterprises corporate world?
sorry, come again.
uh, so I'm just telling you, like, I'm just suggesting and discussing that there would be a position called chief agent officer, like we have chief
Yeah,
business officer, chief
yeah,
operating officer.
yeah.
So a dedicated position to just manage and take care of all the
I think
agents within the company.
I think everyone would be a chief agent officer. Everyone would be an agent officer. Every human deployed will be an agent officer. So there will be no other post than an agent officer. Default will be agent officer. Maybe
And
there will be a hierarchy: agent officer one, agent officer five,
senior agent
and
officer,
and
junior.
chief. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So there is no sense even saying that there will be chief and the other ones are doing something else. There is no something else to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Only thing that you need
100%.
to do is to optimize your agent, and the jury will be out obviously every time to figure out which whose agent is great, right? If
Hmm.
Girish's agents are well tuned, fine tuned, Girish is doing great job in QA, Girish is training it in Dubai and training it in US, and also doing all the training on top of it. That means you will win in the longer run. Your
Hmm.
agents, because you plus your agents are a collective, a human with its aura. You can say that
Wow.
your personality will have new set of entities.
Wonderful, amazing. That's quite insightful. So Ashish, I think let's hop on to the amazing presentation that you have created. So Mehak, if you can share that deck, I think we can go
I
through all the
I
concepts.
do I do have deck once again. Just
Okay.
let me present. Okay, I don't know where from where is the button. Okay, Meg, if you can present,
Yeah.
would
So
be
Mehak,
lovely.
please go through it. Yes.
Yeah, so the idea that I was thinking about was that AI employees will replace work, but not the purpose, right? So the other sentence I wanted to say and didn't say, just for the provocation, is to say that AI employees will replace the work that we do today. That is the grunt work. That is the boring work. But subjectively, they will not remove the purpose, right? The purpose will still be human at the end of the day. Because why do we even communicate? Why do we even do anything that we do? It's all purpose driven, right? Girish is talking to me. He has a purpose. I have a purpose in speaking to you. Everybody is interacting and doing stuff in the world because they have a inherent purpose. So agents or AI employees are going to be task doers, right? So the purpose or an entity. So this is a very very famous thing that so I heard someone saying. I'm not sure who said it. Was that there was a point in 2019 that there was a obviously the image models were really nice, and everybody thought that the radiology space will be over now. Nobody will be looking for radiologists who just look at the report and do some diagnosis. So, but now if you see in 2026, right, 7 years after that, today you have lesser radiologists than there are positions for radiologists. That means we still have shortage. Why? Because the problem is not that the work is automated. The problem is that diagnosis is not automated, right? And it will never be automated. Why? Because that is the purpose of a job. So your entire job has different smaller tasks and segments. Those tasks will be done by AI employees, but the entire work function will not change. I can be an HR, But an HR with my set of team, with my spread of AI employees working for me, maybe for a large enterprise, maybe I'm working alone, working with 50 AI agents, but my purpose will be the same. I will be working for that company, making sure that the work is smooth, right? That agent alone can't do. Okay, so this slide is just to mention that how the intelligence has moved on. So in 2023, we just saw the first bump in intelligence. The chatbot suddenly became sentient, not sentient technically, but actually, this sounded reasonable for the very first time in 2023. 24-25, we saw really amazing results from good papers like Chain of Thought, which incorporated into reinforced learning, and then thinking models came in. So 24-25 is all about new thinking models, and on top of it, new versions of the model that we see today, right? And 2026, I think now is the time when work has started really getting absorbed. If you can move to the next slide, please. So this is one thing that I want you to remember. So if you uh, look at the overall thesis on which work will be automated and which won't be, how I see it as a step by step elaborate analysis of what your job is. So, for example, someone who's at a very high stake decision making role, let's say a VP of engineering at Claude sorry, Anthropic, right? That guy has to take a lot of strategic decision that will change the course of the company. That guy alone, although he's from Anthropic, he won't be able to delegate his own strategic decision making task. He has to put his name behind it, right? So that work itself can't be automated. The insights can be drawn maybe faster because of agents, but the final decision making entity cannot be automated. So people who have really strategic jobs where you have really high level thinking, you need to have high stakes decisions to be made. A lot less of your job functions will get automated. But if you have a very granular kind of job, let's get to the other extreme. Let's imagine coding. So what is coding actually? So coding, when I used to do coding, and today I don't do coding, I actually suggest someone to do coding for me, which is an AI agent, right? So so basically, when I do coding, when I used to do coding, so basically it was all a pre-structured small decision making. Write a function on this, have this function do that, right? Club all these functions together into a common file, right? All these were very small decisions that coagulated into a major decision, but individually they didn't matter that much. That is why 99% of coding is currently automated, right? But that doesn't mean that the coding job is out is not there, right? So even if you see the recent traces, recent HR polls, people are saying software engineering jobs, who people who understand AI, these jobs have gone up. Why? Because obviously you can now produce more software. That means now the demand of software is even higher. Every enterprise company is kind of trying to rehaul their internal systems, the systems that have been built for past 50 years. Everyone is trying to replace them in 5 years. Imagine the volume of jobs needed in coding right now. It's unimaginable, even surpassing the COVID levels, right? So even 99% automation is not removing jobs, and 20% obviously is not removing jobs. So what is removing? Nothing is removing jobs, to be honest. It's just automating smaller and smaller chunks of tasks, right? And that is what we call AI workers at different levels of intensities. Please go ahead. So again, I just again mentioned that the hierarchy of so for example, if a small junior engineer was automated, the task of small junior engineer was automated in 2022. A task of a planner, executor, and a PRD designer is getting automated in 2026, right? So the hierarchy of tasks getting automated is going up and up and up, right? Mm, okay, please move on to the next slide. Okay. So the idea is that just again hammering on the point of coding again. So I'm somehow you might feel that I'm against coding, but I am actually for coding, and I think software will not only eat everything else. AI with software will eat everything else, right? So my point here is that since coding is basically a structural documentation process, right? It's just a text which says that do this way. It's kind of it's already an abstraction on top of instructions. So we have just moved up into the ladder of abstraction. Earlier, it used to be a punch cards, then it used to be COBOL or some basic language, then C, C++, Python, and all the normal languages, Rust and all, which is human readable yet, but again abstracted a lot from the actual zeros and ones which are happening at the ground level. So these were abstraction, but very well documented abstractions. Now we are going a higher level where the abstractions are documented in a non-deterministic way, right? So what we are saying is, if I say create a front end design for my HR company, right? Now we don't have to describe every element there is in that HR company's landing page. Why? Because now we have a kind of a tribal knowledge of what an HR company's landing page is. So the AI figures it out. It only takes your specific nuances of creating only the HR landing page and just gobbles up everything else, and it creates that illusion of doing the work, right? So again, the idea is that in the future sense, imagine how we prompt today for the coding. That is exactly what will happen to the all form of work. Again, the fake work will always remain fake work. You can't change that. If somebody is acting to work, you can't obviously make an agent to act like work, but the real work will definitely get changed. Please move on to the next slide. And what do we do now? The obviously a lot of agents are coming, a lot of workflows, a lot of AI employees are coming in. What to do then? So number one is to be honest about your job, right? Figure out which part of your jobs are high stakes and figure out which part of it are repeatable task works. If you find the repeatable task, or automate it. You have to learn the tools very very fast. The second point is you have to learn very fast. You have to really learn how to automate, and it's not a coding problem actually. Now you have a lot of systems like even ChatGPT and Gemini. You have projects and gems inside them where you can literally write the entire instruction and just have to mention the keyword and it will automate all for you. So you have to learn how to use the tools really really well, right? So be honest about your job, see which parts is high stake, which part is low stake, remove the low stake, help others also remove the low stake, and build automation on top of it, and become a 10x version of your own current role. Right? For example, if you're an HR, become a 10x HR, because it used to be a 10x coder, but not a 10x HR. But today it can be a 10x HR.
Yeah.
Then budget for tools, demand budget for tools, man. uh, Whatever your role is, look for tokens, right? Ask your teams that okay, we need a cloud code, we need an office 4.6, give us a budget, right? So that we can experiment. And 10% of your time, the fourth point is learn to fish. 10% of your time has to go into implementation and experimentation. Now every person in the world who wants to stay in a job market, who wants to grow in this market, they have to make sure that they come in with a mindset of a micro entrepreneur. They have to come in with a mindset of thinking that they have to experiment today. They have to spend 10 to 20% of the time daily to figure new things out. Okay, what do I do today? Let's go to some, let's say, prompt library and figure out this stuff about my job. Okay, let me. Why am I writing 5 emails a day, which are almost similar? Why can't I automate that? Right? Let's experiment. It might fail, but you will learn something, right? So generally, pre-AI era, a lot of people used to run through tens of years without having to learn anything new. And that was actually, I think, horrible. We should be learning, all of us should be learning all along the way. And this is the right time, right opportunity for all the curious people. And they will grow super fast. They'll grow almost exponentially. So interestingly, all the startup themes have come into mainstream now, right? So whatever happened used to happen in startup ecosystem, like exponential growth or exponential downfall, exponential growth in learning, etc. Now can happen to anybody, even if you're sitting in an Amazon, like AWS, in a massive company like Microsoft, you can learn as fast as that, right? Because your job now is dependent on it. Yeah, please, next slide. Yeah. So the safer role is not the doer, it is the orchestrator. So that basically means is that now the agents are sufficient enough to do the task. Your task does not is basically is to create the task doer and managing the task doer, right? So soon you will find yourself becoming an orchestrator, kind of. You can imagine an orchestra managing a live musician setting, managing them and figuring out how the orchestra is going, and the orchestra will do the work for you. Yeah. Okay. The next one. Okay. So yeah, that's it. So the wholesome idea would be that, again, I before even the presentation, I stress the point that we will be living in this new world where a lot of our co-workers will be AIs, and we'll live with them. We'll share moments with them. They will be our sub agents, sub workers, and all. And the most important job we'll ever do is to be their orchestrator, their quality assurance guy, and help them grow as well with us. Yeah.
Amazing. That was a great insight, Ashish sir. It was amazing, and the way you have explained, and I think totally the world is gonna be changing very soon, and it has changed. So yeah, so I think I'd like to tell the audience that we are coming up with our cohort program very soon, with all the changes to keep up with all the business owners, CXOs, all the people who want to upscale in their career. So we'll be running, and Ashish sir will again be a mentor to for the cohort and the group which we will form. So we are very coming. If anyone wants to join that, please feel free to reach out to our team, and we'll discuss. And that's a quick webinar registration for our next webinar, which we will be announcing very soon. So you can register here. But again, Ashish sir, this was a great great presentation. It gives a great insight, and I think we are totally in a different world right now, and how things are changing. World has been showing a big change every 50 years, and this is again a very massive change. And we are totally aligned, and we would love to utilize and see how we can implement boring workflows in our own companies and our own clientele, our projects. We like being a tech company ourselves. We are also trying to implement and get all the team members, even suggest our clients and our projects which we are working around, like what we used to develop in months, now we are just able to develop in days. So even me and my brother was trying to understand how this is evolving. So obviously tech, there is one question from the audience which has been there. So he's asking, will AI completely replace jobs, or will it just change how we work? So to understand this, like, even I've been trying to brainstorm, but yeah, would love to have your insight, because at every level there are different team members, different employees, different expertise. So how someone can adapt with the change coming up, with the complete job being replaced, or the way we are working. So that's a major question, and I just saw it again, so I can't resist to ask you this. So would love
Yeah.
to hear from you.
Yes. Yeah. Like I mentioned, total overhaul of job will be there. So and in let's say next 4 to 5 years, not even 4 to 5 years, next year or so, you will find majority of your things happening via agents. And even if you don't call them agents, you call them bots, you call them AI workers, whatever you call them, that doesn't matter. What matters is that they do the work for you, right? Because in the last year or so, you found Claude Code, you found OpenClaw, all these tools which are pretty great at what they do. You will find these moments coming in every month in next year as well. So a lot of things, and these are building blocks right now. So on top of this, a lot of people will also build great tools which will support very specific, very nuanced functions. For example, a concierge for a CEO, assistant for a CEO, which can basically speak to all the internal teams, and basically try to triage for the work that they have to do today, or maybe they have to do last week. All those things would be done by agents pretty soon. Even the entire communication basically might become redundant, and we might just hang around and just talk to our agents better, because that will be more efficient. Why do we even do work WhatsApp? Why can't our agents talk with each other and uh, come up with an agreement on everything that we have to talk about? Let's say when we had to agree on this conversation, I could have deployed my agent to your say, hey, my agent, Ashish's agent, go and talk to Girish's agent and have a good conversation, and just fix a time for us.
Yeah.
So it can have my likeness, it can have my understanding, and what how I consider my time, and then it can take a lot of low strategic decision on my behalf as well, right? So so I think everything will change. Definitely, it's only 1 to 2% right now, but
1 to
look for the
2%.
change.
Is it
Yeah,
just
man.
1 to 2%? Okay. So
It
this
looks like it.
99% is still
Yes.
about to come. Oh, wow.
Why I say 1%? Because a lot of the industries, big industries, are still the same, right?
Mm.
You're still dependent on, again, like I mentioned, telecom, because I'm anchored to it. So a telecom system again works exactly the same. Hardware level, physical AI, a lot of things are coming up which are not yet even discovered well. So people are more anchored into the text layer or the chatbot layer.
Hmm.
AI is coming into the vision, AI is coming into physical AI, world model are being discovered, right? New training methodologies are coming up now. People are, so again, it's all the problem of resource allocation. So people have suddenly started allocating humongous amount of resources into AI. So again, it will disrupt everything that will come its way.
Yeah. So there are some questions popping up. I think we are about to finish in next 15 minutes. So I'll just quickly, so audience, you can also put your questions in the comments. We can see them and we can quickly answer them. So there are two, three questions which I'll read to you, and all have the similar context, but so something very important. So one person has asked Mr. Agarwal that how can small teams implement AI employees without technical expertise? There are other questions from Harshita, where she says that what are the three steps to start implementing AI in a business? you know and another from Lakshmi, what's the one AI workflow or agent that can deliver immediate ROI? So these are all around implementing with small teams and stuff. So yeah, would love to hear your insight and give have some tips
Yeah,
for our audience.
I think the if you want to not forget this meeting, and you just want one line out of it, it would
Mhm.
be build agents that can build agents, right? Simple. Now go ahead and go to ChatGPT and ask, how can I do that? Right? What do you have in offer, ChatGPT, that I can do on in you, right? So the ChatGPT will reveal a lot of information about it. So in essence, the idea is that become an orchestrator, become a person who thinks strategically, not just to automate stuff, but also how to automate what automates stuff, right? So it's kind of an inception level thinking, but but the point
Wow.
is you have to figure it out, because again, individually, otherwise your life will be painful. Otherwise you can't be uh, uh, working across multifunctional domains, right? So just giving you an example, I have an agent in my Chat GPT project, in my Gemini Gem, in my Claude, and also in my Notion, whose entire purpose is to create a very specific prompt, nothing else. Its only function is to create a very functional prompt for another agent. So when I go there, I'm well prepared. Okay, this is something that I want to automate. So I tell him that, okay, I want to connect my calendar with my XYZ thing. Okay, because I don't want to do that myself. I'm bored by this stuff. Can you generate a very amazing prompt for this? So it goes in and it creates a very detailed system prompt, just so that I can pull it again and rename it, and that's there for you, right? Then agent now works for me as a calendar agent, right? So think in that manner. That will solve, again, the ROI problem can be solved there. It all depends on how your company functions, but I think immediate ROI can directly be appended by becoming a great QA player. So if you see LinkedIn, a lot of content on LinkedIn is slop. It is emojis, M dashes. You just look at it and you see, this is not this is not real stuff, right? Why is that so? Because someone who has posted that stuff has posted it just after one iteration. The person has just said, ChatGPT, can you write this? ChatGPT wrote some fluff. The person just copy pasted it. What you need to do is become a very good human reviewer. You have to look at it. You have to give very concrete feedback points. You have to say, on line number one, this is the shitty thing. On line number five, this is great point. On line number 10, this is again a bad thing. So it will keep on working towards that particular place where you want it to be, and it will become and then it will become unique, right? So uniqueness is not building from scratch. Uniqueness is about being creative about what you think, right? So QA process is very important. Yeah,
Understood.
please. Yeah, please let me know if other questions are there.
Yeah, there are some questions. There are some technical questions, and there are some ROI driven questions, like how ROI driven are these agentic AIs? Like agents and what you're
Yeah,
building. Also,
I try to answer that. ROI is something that you have to calculate, and my understanding is, whenever you find something which is very repeatable and you can do it via agent, it is generally advised to do via agent. And then ROI calculation is on up to you. Like, if you want to calculate it in time saved, that's up to you. If you want to calculate it in employees not hired, that is up to you. Okay, how do you think about the reliability trade-off in agentic AI? There is a concern that shipping velocity is creating more fragile systems where engineers lose confidence in how their code holds up in real world tests. Actually, yes, Kamal, that's the right frame to think about. I think velocity, the bump up for demo is great, but the bump for production quality is not that great right now. So it could be a 2x, 3x jump for production quality, but a 30x jump for demos, right? So you have to make sure that the final again QA comes in, right? So you have to make sure that the QA is done right, and obviously people are trying to figure out that bottleneck has to be broken, that humans don't have to review their code. But I'm not sure that that can be solved right now. It will be a bottleneck for now. How it can be solved eventually would be to invent a new language, which the AI will be super perfect at, because these languages were made for humans, right? Python was for human, Rust was for humans, right? To write code on top of it, strategically designed. What if you can design directly on top of very basic machine language, machine code? how can you build some language which is very natural for an AI to be good at and understand and reason on top of, right? So I think those kind of solutions people must be thinking about. If they're not, they should be thinking about it. Those kind of solutions will definitely come up. But right now, I think this is something that will advise to be a good QA. Make sure that you test really well, right? So testing is again a framework. Eval is a framework you should think about if you're in development, right? Okay, so how can a person with zero investment can also learn from agents? That is up to you, man. That's how. So you have to be smart first of all, right? Smart and think about what are the problems. So again, just one liner would be that 90% of people are not even aware what AIs can do. So that means a huge opportunity to just benefit from that. A lot of opportunities are there, man. So can't can't pressure enough on that.
Totally.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions, but I really want to get some insights from you for the audience, which I know because we have been talking from a long time. So, Dogra sir, you have to like really want to know for the audience that what are the top tools that you are using, because you say like all the tools are fading away, you have to be updated. So, what are your current AI tools that you are using and which audience can use for becoming fast, superhumans with AI working that for them? So like you said, you are also training your intern, which is again like a Stanford level intern that you're training for yourself, which understands you and works for
Yeah,
you. And you are
yeah.
so what are those tools and how can someone do some amazing stuff like you are doing?
Um, I think so okay, my interns which I'm training are basically these are OpenClaw and NemoClaw instances running on AWS. These have their own memories, and I'm training them, not training them, kind of talking to them and giving them tasks and scolding them every now and then, so that they understand how I want the work to be done, so that they are trained on my behavior, right? So they will be my interns. So I think there will be a training period, just not this machine learning training period, but a kind of a psychological training period that I'll impose on them, and later on then I'll figure out how competent they are compared to the human counterparts. So that is one thing that I want to mention. Then I'm not sure which was the other question.
Yeah, so that's one, and the top tools that you're using, that's one.
Ah,
And
yes. Yeah, since my work hovers around building infrastructure for telecom companies, so I have to use coding tools like Cursor and Claude Code. So that is my primary go-to tool. For other non-technical stuff or minorly technical stuff, I use Gemini a lot and Claude a lot. And I don't mind. So the frontier models are almost all the similar, so don't have to, nobody should tell you which one to pick. It's up to you and whichever subscription you have. But I would recommend you use the projects and the internal directories in them, which is basically saving a prompt inside, so that on top of it you can build. So for example, I mentioned, like, right, if I need to, let's say, um, have a quality assessment of some resumes, I have a really great prompt which automatically expects you upload a job description and resumes. So I don't have to say anything to it. It will just I'll just add a job description and some resumes of some people. It'll automatically rate it, right? So again, my process is to automate that boring part, which is again rewriting that score them, right? Why would I say that again and again, right? I just go there and I just upload the JD and the resume, and it does the work. So my recommendation is to use the projects in ChatGPT and Claude, and Gems in Gemini if you're not using Claude or ChatGPT. And keep experimenting. There is a tool called Stitch which I use a lot for designing, which is free and by Google. So it's really amazing in how well it designs. And it all comes back to my again the earlier point of QA. If your the quality is all dependent on how well you do the QA process, right? How well you fine tune the final uh, the thing. And also it also depends on your own clarity of thought. If you're not clear on what you want, then obviously how can you rate something, right? Because then you have to rate it against something that you want. So your mental clarity is also required to be a great
Yeah,
QA. And I think that is what eventually will stand in the longer term, right? Mental clarity and people who have creative thinking, people who have their own opinions will definitely thrive in this environment.
wonderful. I think that was a great insight. Like that's a bomb in a nutshell. The way you have literally described and given all the insight with all the things happening and that you are trying to do. I would really love to thank you from our team and myself and from the audience side. Thank you, Ashish, and that was a great time. We'll see you again, maybe in the cohort, and
Yeah.
anyone who wants to reach out to him, please directly write to him on LinkedIn, on his email ID, which was shown. So feel free, and we'll keep us updated. Sir, I think you are all. Where can we follow you? Like, where are you sharing your
Uh,
insights
I
with
think
the
mostly on LinkedIn,
LinkedIn?
rarely on Twitter, but mostly on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who wants to keep learning, let's follow him on LinkedIn and keep learning, keep growing. And thank you, sir. If there's something if you want to tell in the end before you go, so you feel free. So your audience, and thank you so much from my side and Maxtron.
Thank you, thank you. A lovely audience, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.